everyone, you're welcome to the Total Education Show.
School is not just about academic subjects alone. School is also about co-curricular activities. School is engagement with fun. School is a lot more than just the cognitive side of things.
Development of a child is 360, and that's why we have tagged this program Total Education Show.
Stream is here to raise kids that will identify the problems, come together as a group, inquire why this problem happened, and see a way to correct the error.
We normally say that we have 4 baskets of rights. So four baskets
of rights
of children.
Oh, awesome.
As provided for by the Child Rights Law.
Sit down, relax, and enjoy the show. Thank you. Hello friends, hello everyone at home. My name is Wumi Tolu Alalade, your anchor on the Total Education Show. Yes, Total Education Show. The show is put together and packaged by the Lagos State Ministry of Education for your co-curricular aspect of education. So you have a total and a valued education system even in your homes. Yes. Now, what areas we will be looking at? We're going to be looking at STEM issues, and we'll be looking at, yes, child protection issues. Everything that has to do with child protection and advocacy of your children, even as they are home. Now, do you want to give me feedback? Yes, I want to hear from you. You can send in your feedbacks to me on this WhatsApp number 081-26601-889. Yes, WhatsApp messages only on 081-26601-889. Yes, I'm waiting and I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Sit down, relax, and enjoy the show. Thank you. Welcome to today's Total Education Show episode. On this episode, we're focusing on child abuse and protection issues. And with me today in the studio, we have a legal counsel. She's the head of the legal unit in the Lagos State Ministry of Education. And she's also, she has worked in different departments, different ministries, in the Lagos State government. As you meet her, we'll be talking about who a child is, how do you identify abuse issues when any child is going through or being exposed to abuse, and then you'll be able to know what you can do and what the Lagos State has put in place to face this challenge of abuse. Today, it's sure going to be a wonderful time, and we're going to be able to learn more as regards child abuse and protection issues today. Now, I want you to meet our guest today in the person of Mrs. Adefeyinti Ogbemudia. Welcome on board, ma.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out of your busy schedule to have this interview with us.
It's my pleasure.
Yes. There's a whole lot going on with abuse of children, and many stakeholders in education. When we say stakeholders, we mean the parents, the school units, everyone, the community. Sometimes there are some things we don't see, and they are kind of hidden because these people are very smart when they do their things. So today we're going to be learning from you. But before we go on, I want to share some of your experiences as a legal counsel with the listeners. She started her career as a state counsel with the Civil Litigation Department under the tutelage of Mr. Lawal Pedro San for over 10 years. And there she was redeployed to the Ministry of Special Duties and later Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency. She also worked with Honorable Justice Shola Doye until February 2020, when she came to head the Lagos State Ministry of Education legal unit. So that's a brief about our honorable guest, and we want to hear a lot from her today. So going to the business of the day, we want to know exactly because some people don't know when you say child or anything children, they don't understand the fact that there are some ages that are still considered as children. So can you give us the definition of a child?
Thank you very much for having me. The Child Rights Act of 2003, domesticated by Lagos State, defines a child as anybody 18 years and below. We have several other laws, but Lagos State has stuck with the Child Rights Act. So anybody 18 years and below is a child.
So irrespective of, I'm a big girl now.
Oh yes,
I'm not a baby.
irrespective of how big, irrespective of whether they have even come out of university, they fall into the category of being a child.
Good. Thank you for clarifying that, because some people, once they are 16, 17, you know how teenagers, I'm a big girl, nobody should direct me. So you are still a child, according to the
law.
Yes, according to law. So now, what do you think is the cause of rise in child abuse around the country?
The issue of child abuse has become quite an issue, and I believe that a lack or a reduced understanding of parenting, lack of time on the side of the parents to commit to raising the children, issues of alcohol, issues of drugs, issues of extreme poverty are contributing factors to the rise in child abuse.
So issues like neglect, if I get it correctly,
Yes.
is part of those things that causes
Yes.
child abuse.
Yes, definitely.
Can you kind of go deeper into all these aspects? You mentioned alcoholism as well,
Yes.
and drug use.
Yes, definitely. Now, if we take the issue of extreme poverty, a number of children, a good number of children have now become providers, where their parents have lost their jobs, the children are asked to hawk. Now, children who have become providers, who are exposed to all sorts of things on the main road. You give a child something to go and hawk on the main road, he's exposed to being hit by a car, he's exposed to the vagaries of crime. He runs into all sorts of children, all sorts of adults, and the influences are numerous. And you have no idea what the child is exposed to while he's out. And this child also becomes somebody who has funds in his hand. Small as they are, he becomes a target of other older, more experienced people on the road who now introduce him to crime. They could introduce him to drugs. They could introduce her to prostitution. It could be anything. So unfortunately, our situation of extreme poverty in Nigeria and all over the world has forced a lot of children into the job market, even though through the back door. Even though through the back door. So, and also the issue of drugs and the issue of alcohol. A large number of the cases of rape, of abuse, most of the perpetrators are under the influence. And the influence now does not have to be something very expensive. A lot of the alcohol being provided are in little sachets and are very cheap.
Those small
and
sachets
are extremely potent.
Most high concentration of.
Most times they're even more potent than the proper drinks. So once they are under the influence, they do just about anything.
Wow.
So unfortunately, that happens. Now, in the area of parental neglect, neglect may seem harsh, but it's the truth. Parents have to go out to work. Now, who do they leave the child with while they're away? They are forced to leave the child with a neighbor. They are forced to leave the child with a friend. They are forced to leave the child in the care, sometimes of staff. Now, what happens? The children are exposed. So in a bid to get funds to look after these very same children, the children are left at the hands and the perils of so many different things. So all these have also raised the issue of child abuse. Also on the issue of extreme poverty, you would realize that a lot of the reported cases and which are just a little minute section of what is actually going on. You see stories like so and so burnt an 8-year-old child for licking her child's milk. It's because she's thinking, I have to buy another milk again. This is for my baby, the cost. Now, the first instance, why is an 8-year-old a house help?
In the first
Why
place.
has an 8-year-old been released from her own parents to work looking after a baby?
Somebody
Now,
that is even a baby
somebody who is a
herself.
baby and cannot, even take care of herself. But she's been, because her parents are poor, she's been released to this family for some, in exchange for some funds. Now, while she's there, she's a child. She's looking, milk is sweet, and she wants to, and she licks it. And the woman, in her own anger, decided that she will throw hot water at her, and then she has first-degree burns. So it's unfortunately
for being a child. Yeah,
so
for no reason, no other reason.
So
than
unfortunately,
being a child.
it's a vicious cycle. It's a vicious cycle.
Wow. We've heard it from our legal counsel, and we see that there are so many factors that causes all this, the rise in abuse cases. Please just look inward, look around you. If there's anything you're seeing that is looking like is related to the cases we're talking about today, feel free to send us your comments, send us any questions that you have. People have done that in the time past and we have responded to it. It will be discreet, of course, and you will have your needs met. Please hold on as we go on into the show with this short video clip.
Dele Amu is a 12-year-old boy. He doesn't attend school and he lives with his aunt at Mushin. He usually stays at a neighbor's apartment because his aunt does not come till 6 p.m. during the working days. His aunt came home last week Friday and began physically abusing Dele as she always does every night, leaving him with deep marks and bruises all over his body. A mandated reporter found Dele in the neighborhood and made this report via the star 6820 # platform. The mandated reporter in furtherance sent a mail giving the details of the case, pictures evidencing the allegation. The DSVRT caseworker calls the mandated reporter to confirm the reports and extract more details such as the name of the child, residential address, and the name of his parents.
Thank you for making this report. Can we have the name of the child, the age, address, and the name of his parents?
Caseworker thereafter writes a letter about the case, including the details about the child with pictures evidencing the allegation to the Child Protection Unit, CPU, the Secretariat Ikeja, in the Ministry of Youth and Social Development. Immediately, rescue operation commenced between the Child Protection Unit and the Domestic and Sexual Violence Response Team, visiting the Mushin Police Division, informing them of the case. The police thereafter joined the team and rescued Dele. Dele was put in a shelter some hours later and was taken to the Primary Health Care Center, Mushin, for treatment. The Mushin Police Division later that night arrested Dele's aunt and charged her to court for child abuse. Dele was reunited with a trusted family member and is being followed up.
welcome back. I'm sure you saw the clip and you learned a few things from it. So we're back to the session, and we're going straight to another question, which I'm sure many of us are itching to know. What are the different types of abuse a child can be exposed to? So Mrs. Ogbemudia, what are those different types of abuse that children are exposed to?
Thank you. The abuses can be emotional, they can be psychological, they can be physical, they can be sexual, they can be domestic. A lot of times when we think of abuse, we are thinking, oh, maybe just sexual abuse. But a lot of children are exposed to even emotional abuse, psychological abuse. There's so much, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic, so much exposure to psychological abuse. You know, when the children were in full school, they are not in close contact totally with even their parents. Now the COVID-19 threw us all together,
By force.
forced us to stay home together, and even yelling at your child, you know, out of your own frustration
Of not being able to go
of
to
not
work,
being able to go to
earn
work,
money, or
provide,
lost your job or
and you are
something.
thinking, oh, what do I do next? And then you get a letter that you lost your job and all that. So it's also psychological abuse which the children unfortunately have to bear.
A lot of people are always like, sexual
focus
abuse, sexual
on the
abuse. There are so
sexual.
many now. There's trauma out there. A lot of
Yes.
people are going through a lot of trauma. They've lost their jobs, and a whole lot of people cannot even afford to feed. It's so sad. Even in these times, we can still find a way out. Let us just try. Anything that is available, not as in stealing, but at least make use of your own hands. So I know that Lagos State government has put in place some resources to combat the child abuse issues that we face, mainly in the state. Can you please itemize some of them for us?
Thank you. We have the Ministry of Youth
And
Social
Social
Development. They have fantastic welfare workers. They keep your confidence. If you have any case that you suspect or you report to them, they work very well. We also have the Domestic Sexual
Violence
Response Team.
Team.
That's another
Yes.
fantastic team. The officers there are very well trained and they are very good and they take on your matter. The most important thing about child abuse is the confidence. Nobody wants to report and they say, oh, it was Mrs. Lagbada that came to
said
report
this.
or that came to. So yes, Lagos State has provided that. And another point that I'd like to point out, Lagos State government has so graciously, under our amiable governor,
Yes.
has so graciously allowed that the junior staff who have most of the little children, because the little
They are still grooming.
children who they are grooming have not resumed school. The Lagos State government has not allowed for the creche to resume. So these children, their parents are allowed to come in, I think 70% of the time. That works out about three times a week. The head of service sent out the circular 3 times a week, giving them time to spend with their children because there is nowhere for them to put these children. So I would urge that even the private sector, please look into this. These children are young and they are being left at home. They are being left to the vagaries of possible molesters. You know, because their parents would like to go out to earn a living. So if the private sector would look into this and see how either they are coming on alternate days, or if there is any way to stagger the work so that they have time to spend with the children, you know, and they can also give child care, because the child care is an important way of dissuading any molester. Once the parents are around and the opportunity for neglect is not there, then the children are a lot more in better hands.
In safe hands, yes. So we appeal to the private sector, both education and every other department, or should we say aspect of private sector, try to allow your staff to have 1 or 2 days off. And they too, I'm sure by the time they know that, okay, I'm not going to be at work today or tomorrow or day after. They will plan how they will do that. But as it is now that some schools like the crèche, under 5s are still at home, as mandated by Mr. Governor, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu. We have to abide by it, and you know, those children, we need to keep them safe. And on that note, we conclude today's episode. I'm sure you have learned a thing or two, and now you can relate to some of the things that COVID-19 has brought into our space. We have no choice, it's the new normal, and it's not going anytime soon. So notwithstanding, we still have to cope with all that we have in front of us. And on that note, I want to say thank you to our governor, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, for supporting the Ministry of Education in all that we do to ensure that learning does not stop, even as the children, some of them are still at home. We want to thank the Honorable Commissioner for Education, Mrs. Folashade Adefisayo, the Permanent Secretary, Lagos State Ministry of Education, Mrs. Adelaja, and all the Education District 1 to 6 Tutor General Permanent Secretaries. Not forgetting the directors, all our directors in the Lagos State Ministry of Education, in school and in the offices. We want to thank each and every staff that makes Lagos State Ministry of Education what it is today. On that note, I, Wumitolu Alalade, the anchor of the Total Education Show, is signing off today. See you next time, same station. Please feel free to send your messages, your comments, your contributions. You want to share some deep hidden things with us that you don't want everybody to know, send it to us, and we assure you that we will work on it. Thank you so much for coming, Ma. Yes, have a lovely.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye for now.